It seems like artificial intelligence, or AI, is getting a bit out of control, from celebrity likenesses being used to sell products to far more sinister applications. How do we protect ourselves? Well, joining us to talk about it is Doug Kim, intellectual property attorney and founder of Kim and Leahy Law Firm. Glad to have you with us.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So this is something that pretty much everybody can relate to,
Yes.
certainly in the journalism business, as we were talking before we got started, and we'll get to that in a minute. But why don't we kind of set the stage? How do you define intellectual property?
So intellectual property, the legal definition is patents, copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets. Interestingly enough, it's formed in the Constitution to protect artists and inventors. So we have had intellectual property for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Small piece of fun information, South Carolina had the first patent act in the United States ever. The federal government enacted the Federal Patent Act. South Carolina's became less important. So South Carolina was actually first in this area.
Really?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're talking about artists such as, say, authors, you know, once upon a time we were concerned with plagiarism. Now this is taking it to a whole next level. So what is the threat that artificial intelligence poses on society in general?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is just like any tool out there. We can use it for good or we can use it for evil.
Right.
Talking specifically about sort of the creative side of where artificial intelligence is coming in, it can substitute some of the creativity. It can give this false sense of these wonderful, beautiful things. I'll give you an example. I spent maybe 2 minutes putting in information into an AI agent, and I said, write a poem about, and I gave some background about my mother, the tennis coach, where she grew up, and what she's doing now. It wrote a wonderful, beautiful poem, okay? I'm a physics major, and I write poetry like a physics major.
Okay.
But this did a fantastic job of a
So
beautiful
it did better than
poem.
what you were saying you would have maybe
Not
organically
even in
come
the
up with.
ballpark of what I would have produced.
Your mother would probably disagree.
She loved it. She
Yes.
sent a text around to the family wanting to know when I became a poet.
Goodness gracious.
So that's one of the risks, is that
Okay.
it is substituting what we used to be very creative, experienced arts people. You can create beautiful things very quickly without human interaction.
So isn't the threat that humans are going to become obsolete?
It is, the Hollywood writers right now are really starting to be concerned about this, because you can do plays, screenwrites, poetry, books, movies, pictures, even graphics, paintings.
Absolutely.
Everything can be done with AI.
They put on a strike about it.
They sure did, and
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting because there's no point in fighting this. It's here and it's coming.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how do we protect ourselves? Because here's something that I saw on Instagram recently, and it was AI generated, but there was nothing obvious to say that it was hashtag AI or AI generated. And people really did get hoodwinked. It was Princess Anne who was ripping Camilla Parker Bowles with her voice, and it didn't necessarily show her saying the words throughout the entire video, but snippets. And you put all those things together, and her voice just going on this diatribe about Camilla Parker Bowles, which, you know, if you know anything about it, she never would have done it.
Right.
But people bought it.
Yeah, the deep fakes and these things are happening
Deepfake.
right
That's
now.
it, yes.
And there's several ways to protect this. One of the ways is we already have a right to privacy. If you're a public figure, you have the right to prevent your likeness from being used without your permission. This existing law could be a good tool to stop things like that.
Okay.
Assuming you can catch them.
Sure.
That's another problem.
Sure.
The Copyright Office has taken a very interesting position on this. The Copyright Office first came out that said, look, if AI generated it, you can't get copyright protection.
Okay.
So in order to protect work I'm creating, they're like, you can't do that. So, which is a challenge, because intellectual property is designed to protect artists, right?
Right.
Well, if I can't get protection on it, then this whole world opens up. Okay, so I'll talk about what Elon Musk said about get rid of IP in a minute, but
Yeah.
in January of this year, the Copyright Office came out and said, wait a minute, if there's sufficient human input to the creation of the AI content, maybe we'll protect that.
So the antidote is not necessarily here just yet, but we're
Yes.
building up towards it. With just a few seconds left,
Sure.
can you talk about the IP piece, what Elon Musk had said?
Elon Musk came out and he said we should get rid of all intellectual property. Okay, and it got quite an uproar and things like that, but I will tell you this really quickly. If you think about this, and no disrespect to these large multinational companies, does Apple, Google, Microsoft, IBM, do they really need help protecting their market?
Yeah, right.
If you're a small startup business or a mid-sized business and a behemoth company takes your intellectual property and you don't have intellectual property protection, what happens? So are we really sure we like the idea of getting rid of intellectual property? I don't think it's going anywhere. I think when the founding fathers put it in the Constitution, they got it right.
Yes.
But it's I've been having a lot of discussions about we should get rid of IP. I'm like,
Yeah.
depends on who you are.
That's right, and I'm sure
That's
you
right.
have a few things to say about
That's
it.
right.
Doug Kim, thank you so much for
Happy to
joining
do it.
us. Really enjoyed
Certainly.
talking to you. Thank you. We'll be back after this.